Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, as we all know, OTAs officially are starting today. There's a lot of conversation that's going on with the upcoming, as they would say, organized team activities. And for today's episode, or second episode I should say, what I'm going to be talking about here is how there are fans right now who are very anxious. They are very much wanting to see, they're very much wanting to know what exactly we're going to be getting out of some of these players. Either it's their first OTA, some of these guys it's going to be that, this is not their first rodeo. They've been doing it for quite a while. But there are still questions that fans want to have answered. And there's very much a bunch of doubt, anxiety regarding some of these players that we're talking about and some of these other people related to the Lions that people have, and they're like, hey, you know what? Don't really know what to expect. We're trying to get some answers here. We're trying to have some reassurance. And that's why I have the title as I do, because people are examining, people are scrutinizing, they're wanting to know, okay, what's going on? What can we expect here? Now, when we take a look at this, there's quite a number of people that could fall into this. There's quite a number of Lions that, people have these questions about. There's quite a number that, hey, you know what, don't really know what to expect or what we should be expecting from these players. But there are some that I think are going to fall underneath this magnifying glass more so than others. There are some that I think, hey, you know what? Everybody is looking at and they're like, okay, what exactly are we going to get here? And for me, there are quite a number of people that kind of fall into this, okay, everybody's going to be looking at them. Everybody's going to be like, okay, we need some answers here. We need to know exactly what we're about to get here. And so that's what we're going to talk about. The first person that we need to talk about is Aiden Hutchinson. Now, this one doesn't take a whole lot to think about as to be able to figure out why that is the case. Because it's not because of Aiden Hutchinson's talent. Everybody knows that he's one of the best edge rushers in the business. Everybody knows what this guy can bring to the table. Rather, what this OTA is about is, okay, we now know that Hutchinson has been cleared for team activities. We now know that he can get out on the field. He can now start moving around. He can touch grass. He can do all of these things that we have not been able to see from him ever since the Cowboys game when he got injured. So for this OTA, what a lot of people are going to be particularly wanting to know of is, how's his recovery gone? How much are we going to see him fully participate within the team drills as far as, hey, can he go out there? Can he go full speed, half speed, three-quarter speed, whatever the case might be? And what a lot of people, I guarantee you, are going to be paying attention to is, okay, how confident is he and how confident is the team in his ability to resume his duties right away? That's what everybody's wanting to know. They're wanting to know, hey, can this guy just come right back from where he left off and there's no hitch, there's no anything we have to worry about here. They're wanting to see if there's any change in how Hutchinson attacks the edge or if there's any hesitation in how he attacks coming back from the injury that he had. I sincerely doubt that that's going to be the case. Again, Hutchinson's very much that kind of player where it's like, hey, you know what? If he's fully able to go, there's no reserve within him. He is just full go 100% of the time, and that's how he attacks things. So for me, I know a lot of people are very anxious to see it, Hutch back on the field. They want to know what exactly he's going to be like once he gets back on the field. So there's a lot of questions about that. But again, I feel very confident in what Hutch can do. That's the first person. The second person is quarterback Hendon Hooker. Now, Hendon Hooker is an interesting one here because of the fact that this is now his third year with the team. And everybody knows that Hooker has been gradually getting better and better every single year. And when I say gradually, I do mean gradually. It's not like he's been taking leaps and bounds. It's not like he's just been an absolute wow factor whenever he's come into camp, but he has gotten better. But that is where there is some questions in regards to Hooker, is that people are wanting to see his continuing progress, and they're wanting to see how well he's further able to grasp and understand the offense. But there are other things about Hendon Hooker that people are wanting to know about. They're wanting to see if he's able to exhibit the physical skills, such as the accuracy, such as the touch, the precision with his passes. Because one of the things that has definitely been reported and shown over the last couple of years is that his accuracy is not where it should be. His precision, his touch with his throws is still in development. And this is something that a lot of people are wondering, okay, he's now been at this for 3 years. He's been underneath Mark Brunell as the quarterback's coach. He's been underneath Jared Goff. He was underneath the tutelage of Teddy Bridgewater. You would like to think that by the third year of him being in the league, many of these problems would have alleviated themselves to where it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about this anymore. But again, it is a question that people are going to have. And then that leads into the big question is, can Hooker actually show if he is ready to fully assume the backup duties? Yes, he has been the primary backup before, but as we have seen when the Lions brought Teddy Bridgewater back, Teddy Bridgewater went right into number 2 and Hendon Hooker went right down to number 3. And in the playoff game when Goff got injured and he had to step out for a little bit, they put in Teddy Bridgewater. So there's a lot of questions about what Hendon Hooker is going to be able to show in the OTAs, when we get to camp, when we get to preseason. This is a really big offseason for him as far as the organized team activities, as far as camp is concerned, because Hendon Hooker really has to show that he's able to be the backup that the Lions need him to be to help Goff, or let's just call it for what it is. We might see yet again him being outdone by a veteran quarterback, and the guy I'm referring to is Kyle Allen. That right there is the biggest, okay, is Hendon Hooker finally going to take that step forward to where the Lions can actually trust him to 100% be the backup quarterback, and we don't have to rely on a Kyle Allen or a Teddy Bridgewater to be the backup because they bring that veteran experience, so that way, hey, you know what? We still need more time for Hooker to develop into being that backup quarterback that we need him to be. So there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of anxiety for Lions fans about, okay, what exactly are we going to see with Hooker this upcoming offseason with camp and, obviously the OTAs. That brings us into our third person, which is cornerback Terrion Arnold. Now, Terrion Arnold made some significant strides in the second half of the season in 2024. I've already talked about this before. The jump in production, the ability to be a good cover corner, went up dramatically in the second half of 2024 versus the first half. However, though, there are still fans out there who don't believe in him 100%. They don't trust him 100%. And they're wanting to see him take that next step. They're wanting to see if he can actually become that shutdown, lockdown corner that the Lions envisioned him to be when they drafted him. And now it's like, okay, he's gotten his first full year under his belt. He had one whole off season, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, the whole 9 yards. He had a whole season of playing. Now we need to see what happens when he comes into this second one, the second variation of camp, the second variation of team activities. We need to see him exhibit the gains and confidence and skill that nearly almost all the other previous Detroit Lions that have been drafted before him that are starters have shown from year 1 to year 2. We need to see those gains. I believe that Arnold can do it, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, okay, can he actually step up and play opposite of DJ Reed and be that number 1 or number 2 corner that can play opposite of Reed and actually provide 2 quality shutdown corners for our defense? So there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of conversation about how Terrion Arnold does in this OTA period, and obviously the subsequent training camp that comes up. The next person is going to be defensive tackle Tyleik Williams. Now, with Tyleik Williams, again, kind of interesting here. One of the things about him is that, one, we didn't really see a whole lot of him in rookie minicamp. He was nursing a lingering hamstring injury, really wasn't able to participate. We know how the Lions are with injuries. They're very conservative. They don't want to push things. They want to make sure that the injury is fully healed, it's fully recuperated, before they make sure a player goes out there and actually does what he needs to do. They want to make sure that the rehab process is 100%. But it's not just the fact that, we didn't see Tyleik Williams in the rookie minicamp. The other important factor in this is the controversy that surrounds his pick, in the fact that, hey, the Lions drafted him versus drafting an edge rusher. That right there is still a real sore spot with some fans, because they're like, okay, you drafted this guy. Yes, we know the Bills wanted him as well, and there's a good chance that he could have been gone at pick number 30 had the Lions not taken him. But it's like, hey, we need to see that this guy lives up to our expectations because of what we got in him versus potentially getting an edge rusher. So there's a lot of people out there that are like, hey, we really need to see what this guy can do once he's out on the field. And again, that also kind of translates into the fact of, okay, we also need to see how he's going to do filling in for defensive tackle Alim McNeill. We know that Alim McNeill's not going to be ready for the start of the season. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks, maybe even half of the season before we get him back, because he's still recovering, he's still rehabbing from that tore ACL that he had in the Bills game. So it's like, okay, we need to see what this guy can do just first and foremost because, we haven't seen him do anything yet. The second thing is we need to see what this guy can do because of what we could have had in an edge rusher versus what we got in him. And then the third thing on top of that is we need to see what he can do because he's going to be filling in for an integral part of our defensive line for a bit of period of time. And we need to know that this guy can come in and can fill in opposite of DJ Reader, so that way, hey, you know what? We don't miss a beat. And there's a lot of questions that are surrounding Williams. There's a lot of anxiety about, okay, what can this rookie really do? And again, I believe that Williams will rise to the occasion, and I believe that a strong OTA would be a very good first step in setting some fans' anxiety at ease. So that's person number 4, Tyleik Williams. Person number 5 is wide receiver Isaac Tesla. Now, oh boy, this is one that's going to take a little bit of time, in my opinion, for people to finally cool off from, because there are still a lot of people out there that look at us selecting Tesla in the 3rd and they're like, dude, why did we select a wide receiver? And furthermore, why did we select him and gave up so much draft capital to get him? There's a lot of people out there that still view him as an epic reach. And as such, he's going to have an immense climb to dispel those thoughts, to dispel those anxieties, because there are many fans out there that think we could have gotten somebody else. We didn't need another wide receiver. That was what the initial, viewpoint was when we got him. And still, there are still people that, have that viewpoint. I've done my best to try and explain, listen, Tesla is a guy that we're not only looking towards the now, but we're also looking towards the future, because you got to think about it. Chances are we're not going to bring back Tim Patrick after this year. Tesla is going to be a natural fill-in for when Patrick is gone. And so that's going to be something that I know a lot of Lions fans are going to be particularly paying attention to, is how well does he perform in the OTAs and the training camp that's coming up, because he's got to develop a rapport and chemistry with all the quarterbacks, especially Goff, but he has to do it with all the quarterbacks because he's not going to jump right into the first team offense. He has to earn his way. He has to work his way into that. So that means he has to work and develop a rapport and chemistry with all the quarterbacks, whether it's Kyle Allen, whether it's Hendon Hooker, whether it's Goff. But again, especially Goff. And if he can do that, that will go a long way to him starting to make plays and showing his natural playmaking ability on full display in this prolific Lions offense. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He definitely has his work cut out for him. but I believe that he is going to make a strong positive impression in OTAs and, again, the subsequent training camp that's coming up. That now brings us to the last person, or should I say persons, which in this case we're going to be talking about the new coordinators. Offensive coordinator John Morton, defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepherd. There's a lot of fans that are trying to figure out, okay, what are we getting in terms of our new offensive and defensive playmaker, or play designer, or play caller, whatever way you want to call them. They want to see how these guys are going to get their respective units to perform. They want to see if their leadership is going to stand out. They want to see how aggressive or how conservative, or in the case of the offense, how cute will the play calling be. They also want to see, hey, are things going to be exactly the same as when their predecessors were here? Or are things going to be different? Slightly different, moderately different? We don't know. But those are questions that people are asking. They're also going to want to know, hey, can these guys get more out of their respective units and push them to higher levels, higher standards than what they were in 2024? Which, for the offense, as I've already mentioned in the past, John Morton, I believe, can definitely do that. But it's going to be really interesting for Kelvin Shepherd to do it because he's never been a defensive coordinator. He's never been a defensive play caller. And on top of that, the only defensive coaching he's had in the NFL has been primarily with linebackers, either as an assistant linebackers coach or an outside or inside linebacker or just the linebacking coach. He's never actually ran a whole unit. So there's a lot of questions that are surrounding both Shepherd and Morton. And for me, how these two men handle the responsibility of their new roles following the Lions coaching exodus this offseason is really going to be a huge indicator of how people are going to react and whether or not the anxiety, whether or not the scrutiny is going to subside. But again, I'm confident in their abilities because Dan Campbell's confident in their abilities. If he wasn't confident in their abilities, there's no way in hell he would have given them the job. And again, on top of that, to talk about Kelvin Shepherd, if they weren't confident in him, there's no way Aaron Glenn would have groomed him for the amount of years that he was grooming him to be the next defense coordinator when his time was up. So it's like, hey, John Morton's been an offensive coordinator before. He's been in the NFL since the late 1990s, has an absolute crap ton of experience. Kelvin Shepherd was groomed for this job by both Campbell and by Glenn. So it's like, I'm confident in their abilities. But confidence don't mean diddly squat unless you actually see what's happening out on the field. And that's what fans want to know. That's what fans want to see. They want to see what these guys are doing when they have the full ensemble of players to actually work with. They want to see what these guys are going to do once they're actually out on the field. And it's not just the coordinators, it's all the other guys that I mentioned. Hutch, Williams, Tesla, Hooker, all of these guys are people that are very much going to be getting the eyeball and very much going to get the magnifying glass put on them because they're going to be like, okay, we need to know, we want reassurance of what it is you're going to do once we actually get a chance to see you put the pads on again. Once we actually see you get on the grass and actually start practicing and performing with the team again. That's where all this is coming from. Because I know there's a lot of questions that people have. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them are in the middle. But again, I fully expect and believe that these people that I've mentioned, they will rise to the occasion. And the other ones that I haven't mentioned that other people might be concerned about, such as the guard rotation or other specific players, I'm not at all worried about their ability to rise to the occasion, to show that they're ready, and to show that they will make the best of what they're going to do once we actually start, getting news from OTAs and training camp. Pardon me. But anyway, folks, this is what I have. You guys will let me know whether or not you agree with me or if there are other people that I missed, other specific things you thought I should have talked about, whatever the case was. All I ask is you keep it respectful. But having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all to make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also encourage y'all to push this content and share it with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. We're almost to 10,000 4,000 subscribers. You guys have been an awesome crowd. Let's keep it going. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the content. I hope you all thought I got either most of what you guys were wanting me to talk about, or you know what? Maybe it was just something new. Maybe it was something of a different perspective, because again, that's what I always try to do with every piece of content I push out. Hope everyone has something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.